Hi, I am Jerry and Quick, and I wrote the mud puddle theory. In my other videos, I have always given a brief statement concerning my goal in writing the mud puddle theory. In this video, however, I'm going to take a different approach and skip that brief opening statement and get right into the topic issue that I will discuss in this video. The London Interbank offered rate, L.I.B.O.R scandal. The question is, are you a victim? In this video, I will tell you about the L.I.B.O.R scandal and what it is so that you can determine if you are a victim of the L.I.B.O.R scandal. Also, I will teach you how to know and understand how to avoid becoming a victim of the L.I.B.O.R scandal or any other banking scandals. In this video, I will be discussing a personal experience that I'm currently going through, which is very, very personal to me, a personal experience that I really don't want to discuss. However, this is a personal experience that you can learn a very important lesson from so you and others can avoid making the same mistake that I made. Before I get started, I also want you to know that I am not anti-Semitic, nor am I anti-bank. I hope that I have made myself very, very clear in the mud puddle theory and in my videos that I'm strongly opposed to stereotyping. We should never judge anyone, any group, or anything based on the actions of one or a few. In my last video, Federal Reserve Bank Drain the Swamp, I promised that I would be doing another video concerning a personal matter that I am currently going through that involves the banking cartels and their schemes, scandals to exploit you and steal your money. This video should provide you with a wealth of information that you must know that may help you avoid the trap and not make the same mistake that I made. Those of you who do not know me, have not read the mud puddle theory or watched any of my videos, don't know that even though I am basically retired, I am a lawyer. I have a Juris Doctorate degree and I was admitted to practice law on the 28th day of September 1996. Provided that I survive this personal battle that I am currently involved in, and provided the Lord doesn't decide that my time here on earth should end, I will be celebrating my 43rd anniversary as a licensed practicing attorney on the 28th day of September 2019. As a young lawyer just starting out, I joined several different groups or organizations to help promote my business. Through those groups or organizations, I did meet some fine, upstanding people who were willing to help a young lawyer who was just starting out. Most of them did do a lot to help kickstart my business, and I owe them a lot of gratitude for their help. I also owe a lot of gratitude to a friend of mine who I attended law school with, who I took the bar exam with, and was sworn in and admitted to the Alabama State Bar together. He had already been working for a title company and doing mortgage closings for them when he was admitted to the bar. He not only introduced me to several people in the businesses who provided me with business, he even taught me how to do a mortgage closing, conventional, FHA, and VA loans. Even though I did represent other clients concerning other matters, I did do mortgage loan closings to supplement my income and provide financing to build my law practice. I even did several commercial mortgage loan closings, mainly because the fees were much better than they were doing a residential mortgage loan closing, and customarily they were much easier and not as time consuming. I can imagine what you're probably thinking right now, and the question is, or the question that you want me to answer is, how can someone with a Juris Doctorate degree in law and the experience and expertise concerning mortgage loan closings fall into the trap of becoming a victim of a mortgage scam? That is a question that I will answer in this video so that hopefully you will not fall into the same trap that I fell into. As most residential closing attorneys will tell you, most of the times the mortgage company usually prepares most of the paperwork for the attorneys and delivers the paperwork to the attorney's office on the same day of the scheduled closing, along with a check to close a loan. There were a couple of times when I did loan closings and the paperwork and check were not delivered at the time of the scheduled closing. This is what happened when the loan was closed on my home. That is the basis of the banking scandal where I have become a victim. Whenever I did a closing, I would tell the buyers who were getting the loan that even though I am an attorney, it is not my job as a closing attorney to explain the legal meanings of all the terms and conditions and the various documents that they will be signing. This was a major concern of mine, so I eventually prepared a separate document for them to sign, notarized at the closing, that I did not represent them at the closing. I knew that there could potentially be a liability claim filed against me for not answering their questions. And figuring the time that it would take me to do a closing for my scheduling purposes, I always figured that it would take 30 to 45 minutes to close a loan. So that was considered concerning my scheduling of other closings and other appointments. I do remember one loan when I agreed to do a closing after hours as a convenience to the buyers, so I scheduled that closing for 7 p.m. at night. During the closing, the buyers asked me questions concerning the legal meanings of almost every document they were to sign. At 1 a.m. in the morning, even though we had not even completed half the closing, I stopped the closing and told the buyers that they would have to find an attorney to explain and answer all their questions before I would complete the closing. The mortgage company then got another attorney to close a loan for them. Things are totally different when it comes to a commercial loan. The check was always wired into my trust account several days before the closing, and all the paperwork was delivered to my office several days before the closing. It was customary for the buyer, who was usually a corporation or other type of business, to have their own attorneys to represent them concerning the loan. Paperwork was sent to the buyers and or their attorneys ahead of time to look over the paperwork. Even though the attorneys were not always present at the closing, the buyers had always received legal advice before the closing, which made the closing itself much easier for me and took less time. This brings me to the first free legal advice that I will give you. Go over and read all the paperwork that you are to sign before signing anything. If there's anything in the paperwork that you don't understand, don't sign any document until you fully understand what the legal meaning and potential consequences that you could face in the future if you do sign. I would even make a request to possibly get copies of the documentation prior to closing, so that you could look at the documentation and possibly get an attorney to go over those papers with you. I know that the mortgage company, nor from my past experience with the closing attorneys, be happy that you will be taking the time and effort to read over and check out everything, but it is your right to do just that and could avoid potential problems for you in the future. Usually, most buyers are buying their home, and you don't want to face the potential of losing your home, something which I am currently having to deal with. When I made the decision to buy my home where I currently live, I went to Countrywide for a loan because I had a fixed rate mortgage on another house I financed through Countrywide, and I had no major problems. My home that I had paid off at the time of applying for the loan in this particular loan. After submitting my application and being pre-approved for the loan, I received a call from the loan officer wanting me to come in and discuss my loan. The first thing that he told me, even though I had a credit score of over 800, was that I did not qualify for a fixed rate mortgage, and that the only loan that I could be approved for would be an adjustable rate mortgage. I told him that I didn't want I told him that I wanted a fixed rate mortgage, and if I couldn't get a fixed rate mortgage, that I would go elsewhere to get my loan. I then got up to walk out, and he asked me to sit back down and he would see what he could do. After spending a few minutes on his computer, he again told me that because of my income to debt ratio, I would only qualify for an adjustable rate mortgage. For reasons I will explain in this next paragraph, I reluctantly agreed to an adjustable rate mortgage. When I reluctantly agreed to the adjustable rate mortgage, I had not planned on living in my home for the rest of my life. I was looking at my future retirement, so I bought my home planning on making a lot of improvements with the potential to get a substantial amount of equity when it was sold for my retirement years. I purchased my home in 2004, and by 2007 was already beginning to see that our economy was on the verge of collapse. In October 2008, the stock market collapsed and the economic crisis that has been referred to as the housing crisis of 2008 began, something that I will discuss in more detail later in this video. The fair market value for houses fell dramatically, and while my house had been appraised at $235,000 a month before the collapse, the fair market value of my house fell to less than one-half of that appraised value. Not only did the construction industry suffer and pretty much came to a halt, it also adversely affected almost all businesses, including the attorney business. When the housing crisis hit and the fair market value for my home fell to less than one-half its value, I knew that it would be a bad investment to remodel and make improvements to my home until the housing market improved and the fair market value increased. While the housing market has improved, it has not fully recovered in my area. In addition, there have been other things happen that have put me in a difficult financial situation where I cannot afford to carry forward with my dream to retire and move to the country. After the closing, I received copies of the paperwork that I had signed, but it was not until after I got home that I saw that my adjustable rate mortgage was based on the London INterbank offering rate, L.I.B.O.R, when figuring the periodic adjustable interest rate. Even though I had done many mortgage loan closings, I had never done a closing that involved an adjustable rate mortgage. So I knew nothing about adjustable rate mortgages, nor did I know anything about L.I.B.O.R. I assumed, and I emphasize the word assumed, that it would be in line with interest rates set by the Federal Reserve Bank here in the United States. Or was I wrong? I can't tell you how many times I have argued to juries that you can't assume anything, because assuming something will only make an ass out of you and me. When the housing crisis of 2008 hit, and the Federal Reserve Bank dropped interest rates to near 0% to stimulate the economy, and other countries were also dropping their interest rate, I felt that I may have made a good choice to take an adjustable rate mortgage, because that should make my payments go down. To my surprise, my payments only went up. Even though I knew that I should investigate and research the increase to determine why my payments had not gone down, I failed to pursue that matter any further at that time. In 2017, I decided that I should pursue finding out more about my loan. So I sent a letter to Bank of America, who had taken over my mortgage during the housing crisis of 2008. I sent the letter certified return receipt requested, where I requested a complete accounting of my account. The letter came back to me unopened, and I did not pursue an accounting any further at that time. Even though the interest rate set by the Federal Reserve Bank is still fairly low, I got a notice in from Bank of America that my payment was being increased by $55 a month. I hit the ceiling and said enough is enough, so I again sent for a complete accounting, but this time I didn't make it certified return receipt requested. Several days after making my inflated payments for May, I received 2 letters from Bank of America. One of the envelopes contained a letter with a promissory note that I signed attached to it, and the other envelope contained the accounting that I had requested. Several days later, I received another letter showing where my payments had been recalculated and that my payment would be increasing an additional $67 a month for a total increase of $122 a month. My homeowner's insurance had just been paid in February and my taxes had not increased. So the only explanation for the increase concerning my payment would have to be based on interest. Bank of America's responses have been blatantly clear to show that by asking for an accounting, the second increase was in retaliation for me questioning their integrity and honesty concerning the first increase. It is also blatantly clear that they evidently have something to hide. They probably believe that I am a nobody, that I don't have the money or the resources to challenge it. I can assure you and Bank of America, even though I don't have much money or resources to fight them, I'm not one to back down. With the support and backing of with the people, anything is possible. Even though this is something that has become personal for me, I'm sure that there have been and or will be millions of people that will become victims of this type of fraudulent conduct. It needs to be exposed and stopped now. Now to the task of teaching you what I know about the web of deception that has been woven over the years by the banking cartels to increase their profits and in some cases to steal your hard-earned money. In my prior videos and in this video, I've admitted that I'm not an accountant and that I don't fully understand the web of deception that has been created by the banking cartels, but I'm being very diligent in researching for any information that I can find that will help me to better understand and eventually convey that information on to you. While I do encourage your comments and questions below, I cannot guarantee you that I will be able to give you an answer to all your questions. Hopefully, we will have those who have the knowledge and expertise to answer your questions in the comments below. Not only would it be very beneficial to you, but it would also be very beneficial to me as well, and greatly appreciated. London Interbank Offered Rate, L.I.B.O.R, was created in the 1980s when banks around the world realized they needed a consistent benchmark by which to calculate prices for bank-to-bank interest rates. Emphasize bank-to-bank interest rates. As you can tell from the name, it was headquartered in London, England, where it is currently located today. The first publication of the L.I.B.O.R rate was on January 1, 1986. Since its inception, L.I.B.O.R has been expanded to include more than just interactions between banks. As you know from watching this video, it's often used to calculate the interest rate on adjustable rate mortgages and is also being used to calculate interest rates on student loans, retirement accounts, loans to states and municipalities, municipal bonds, and the list just goes on and on and on. In 2012, it was disclosed by a whistleblower that some of the banks were manipulating LIBOR in a fraudulent scheme to increase or decrease interest rates for profit. When this information was disclosed, the British government launched an investigation to determine the merits of the allegations and determine if the allegations were true. And for the most part, they were true. At the time, Great Britain did not have banking laws and regulations that covered banks that were located in Great Britain, but since LIBOR was an international banking organization, their banking laws and regulations did not apply to LIBOR. Great Britain, after their investigation, knew that the manipulation of interest rates would not only affect the British economy, but would also affect the world economy. The British government and Parliament then began to get involved and started making laws that would apply to LIBOR. One of the first steps that they took was to have the British Banking Regulatory Commission start overseeing and monitoring LIBOR. Since 2012, when the LIBOR scandal was exposed in 2016, the British Parliament has become active in passing laws and regulations to prevent any future LIBOR scandals. According to one of the whistleblowers, the LIBOR scandal started back as early as 1991. Even though the U.S. also has banking laws and regulations, the major problem is that even though a lot of its members are U.S. banks, LIBOR is not located in the U.S. LIBOR is located in London, England, and is not bound by our laws. Keep in mind that when you sign an adjustable rate mortgage, you're agreeing to be bound by the interest rate being determined by basically a foreign bank that is not bound by our banking rules and regulations. There is some good news though, because while I don't plan on discussing all those laws in this video, there are laws in the U.S. that not only allow civil lawsuits to be filed, but there are also laws where the Department of Justice can bring criminal charges against those who are liable. The only drawbacks are that they have created such a web of deception that is very hard to prove, and the cost of litigation is very high, expenses that cannot be borne by most individuals. As to the cost of litigation, in order to pursue your civil claim, you possibly could be a member of a class action lawsuit, which would not cause you to have to spend a lot of money, if any. However, as I will discuss in my next video on class action lawsuits, you will not usually get the results you want or that you deserve. A lot of the class action lawsuits that are usually filed are most often filed by attorney generals of various states on behalf of its residents. While I have not had the chance or the opportunity to investigate it any further, from what I have read, the Attorney General of Alabama, my home state, may try to negotiate a settlement, but he does not file any lawsuits. After the LIBOR scandal was exposed, there have been numerous lawsuits filed in many countries around the world, including the United States, claiming that many member banks of LIBOR have manipulated the LIBOR rate to both increase and decrease interest rates for profits. While my case is still in the early stages of investigating the facts, I'm confident that the evidence will show that the interest rate on my adjustable rate mortgage has been manipulated to cause my mortgage payments to increase substantially over the term of my loan. Even though I'm not an accountant, just by looking at my past statements, it will probably take me around 40 years to pay my 30-year loan. During my research, I learned that the LIBOR rates usually go down during a good economy, and go up during a bad economy. Currently, the economy in the U.S. and the world is good. So why does my interest rate go up? Apparently, even though we the people may suffer during a bad economy, some banks will continue to profit and to prosper, not only from increased interest rates, but also from foreclosures on homes they sell after the prices go back up. Since there were not so many civil cases filed in various courts concerning the L.I.B.O.R scandal, it would be impossible to discuss each case individually in this video. For that reason, I will only mention a couple of cases in this video that have affected me. If you want to know more about these cases, I suggest that you do a Google research for L.I.B.O.R scandal, where you can learn a lot about the L.I.B.O.R scandals and the various banks that were involved. During my research, I did learn that there was a class action lawsuit filed on behalf of Alabama residents in 2012 against 10 banks, including Bank of America, concerning the L.I.B.O.R scandal and manipulation of interest rates. I was curious to know the results of that case, so I delved a little bit deeper, but could not find out what the results were. Since that was over 6 years ago, I would speculate that the case is not still pending. Perhaps the case has been settled, and as part of the settlement, there may have been a disclosure agreement where the parties agreed not to disclose the terms of the settlement. And most of those types of agreements, it usually states that the defendants do not admit any wrongdoing. The other case was a case filed against Countrywide, the mortgage company where I got my adjustable rate mortgage through, and was my mortgage holder until Bank of America acquired my mortgage during the housing crisis of 2008. In that case, as part of the allegations, the plaintiffs alleged that they were fraudulently talked into an adjustable rate mortgage by telling them that they would only qualify for an adjustable rate mortgage when they could have qualified for a fixed rate mortgage. The same thing that happened to me. As to any criminal prosecutions being filed based on the information I saw, there were several criminal prosecutions filed, but to the best of my knowledge, none of those charged were ever convicted. However, there were those companies and individuals who did plead guilty and paid small fines. Even though the L.I.B.O.R scandal was not exposed until 2012, it was also disclosed that the L.I.B.O.R interest rates were being manipulated back as far as 1991, approximately 5 years after L.I.B.O.R was formed to establish interest rates concerning the interest rates to be charged when one bank loaned money to another bank. This shows to me that L.I.B.O.R was formed with the intent to manipulate interest rates on loans that they made to others who were not banks. It has been determined that the L.I.B.O.R scandal and the fraudulent manipulation of interest rates by other banks and investors was the cause of the 2008 housing crisis. This has led to numerous lawsuits being filed, not only in the U.S., but in other countries around the world. However, these lawsuits have done very little to stop the fraudulent schemes being perpetrated by some banks still today. As I stated earlier, the housing crisis of 2008 brought the housing industry to a standstill and caused many businesses to close. The unemployment rate rose to one of the highest rates in American history. There were a lot of Americans who were without jobs and could not pay their mortgage payments, which led many Americans to lose their homes through foreclosure. During that time, I heard so many people say that because there were so many foreclosed homes sitting vacant, the banks were also being severely impacted by the economic recession. While this may have been true in some cases, it was not true in all cases. As stated earlier, when the housing market went back up, profits were high, in the millions or even trillions of dollars. There were a lot of people who were investing in their retirement funds when the recession hit. Most of those people lost most, if not all, of their retirement funds because of the manipulation of the interest rates. State and local governments lost millions, even trillions of dollars, not only on payments of interest, but in costs trying to recruit their losses. Those who had invested in municipal bonds to raise funds for various improvements also lost money from their investments. I wish I knew and had time to go into more detail about all the people and the ways that they have suffered losses because of the manipulation of the interest rates, whether raising or lowering the interest rates for profits. Hopefully this video has motivated you to want to do your research and know how it is being done so you can avoid being a victim. At the beginning of this video, I emphasize that I am not anti-bank because all banks are not bad. We currently live in a credit society and banks are such an integral part of not only our economy, but also the world economy. We need banks, but we need honest banks who, while concerned about profits, are more concerned about doing what is right and honest. In the mud puddle theory, I stated that money is the root of all evil. My sister corrected me by telling me that the correct quote from the Bible is, "The love of money is the root of all evil." She was right. While there's a lot of evil in this world, there's also a lot of good. The old saying is that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. While that saying has been applied usually to your health, it also can be applied to your financial health and well-being. Know and understand what you are signing before you sign on the dotted line. Don't make the same mistake I made because there are consequences that could adversely affect you for the rest of your life. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you have not only enjoyed watching this video, but I hope that you have learned something that will help you avoid falling into the same trap that I fell into and becoming a victim. Please like and subscribe below, and when you subscribe, click on the bell icon to receive a notice each time I post a new video. My next two videos will basically be a continuation and better explanation of a couple of the issues that I discussed in this video. Also, feel free to share this or any of my videos. I not only welcome, but I encourage you to leave your meaningful and productive comments below so that we can have a meaningful and productive conversations, discussions, and dialogues needed so that we can get to know one another better, something which is needed for us to unite and come closer together as a nation. The bright new future will be our reward for working together to make these real changes needed to accomplish our goal. I also invite you to visit my website, themudpuddletheory.com, and subscribe to receive my newsletter. While there, visit my store page where you can click on the Amazon icon and order the Mud Puddle Theory through Amazon. You can also order the Mud Puddle Theory through Barnes & Noble online and Books A Million online. You can even go to your local bookstore and they can order the Mud Puddle Theory for you through Ingram Publishers. Thanks again for watching. God bless America.